to our PDA Town Hall for Sunday, August 2nd, 2026. I'm Alan Minsky, and I am here at the front formal entrance to the University of California at Berkeley. And when I was born, my dad was on faculty here in the economics department, and I was born in Alta Bates, not far from here. And I'll be back in a little while to sort of highlight another location on the campus. This is the front entrance, and beautiful front entrance, and just something to reflect on, maybe as I pass off to Donna Smith and Mike Fox at the top of this show. Think about this: that this is probably the greatest public university that has ever existed in the history of humanity. In all due respect to, I suppose, the Sorbonne. I think Oxford and Cambridge were sort of private, then they became public. But this has always been public, and the people of California put all this investment into it, from all the gold mining and silver mining, and they produced this incredible institution. In all due respect, the University of Michigan. I think the California system even outstrips that spectacular school. And this, of course, was the most elite of the California campuses, and that sort of has remained that way in the hierarchy of things. And it was the original school. So I'll be back, but we will be joined by Hartzell Gray. And as I toss to Mike Fox, a Floridian, I will have him maybe correct me or not and say Angie Nixon. Am I getting the name right? The Florida PEA endorsed senatorial candidate will be joining us as well. Yep. And at the top of the session, we may have a very special guest. So Donna or Mike, whoever wants to go next, take it away. Whoever goes first, throw to the other, and then I will be at my second location in about 5 to 7 minutes. Okay.
Mike,
Donna, I always defer to you.
Well, that's very kind, Mike. I'll kick off. I'll be relatively short, and then I'm going to throw it to you because you got shorted last week. I wanted to talk to all of you a little bit about PDA's birthday that just passed this past week. PDA turned 22 years old. I have been with the organization for about 20 of those years, 19 to 20 of those years. Next year will be 20 for sure. And I started to reflect on what we looked like back then and what attracted me to PDA then. And I also started to reflect on the times we're in right now and what does PDA mean to us? What can we do with PDA now? Well, obviously, PDA was very small when it started out long ago with a few real wonderful progressives like Tim Carpenter and congressional members like, Jim McGovern and Dennis Kucinich and John Conyers and some of the people who are still serving, some are not. And we did briefings on Capitol Hill. We released press releases. We did everything we could to make ourselves look bigger. That was the job at the time, to get bigger so we could have an impact. And we dreamed really, and I want you to remember this because it can be very dark times. We dreamed of days like today with the progressive movement. We only dreamed of them. We started out low and we really reached high. And our highest point probably was when we reached to have Bernie Sanders run for the nomination for president. I think that this week, as I went to a canvassing event yesterday up in Colorado's CD8, which promises to be one of the most contested races in the country. PDA has not endorsed that candidate. That candidate is not 100% on all of our issues. Believe me, we're working on it. But we still need to flip the House. So I went up there to do some canvassing work. And I saw once again, like I've seen 3 or 4 times now in the last few weeks, the influx of young progressive voices. Wow. It is fabulous. I met somebody running for the RTD board who's just 25 years old. I was like flabbergasted, and he's eloquent and he has great ideas for what our bus system should be doing here, what our rapid transit should be doing in Denver. And then I met another candidate running for an office up in that direction. Weld County is northeastern Colorado. And she, a single mom with a boy in tow, is running to be the state representative. Daz was her name. Wonderful people, young, vibrant voices with great ideas. PDA, that is our legacy. That is what we're building on right now. Yes, we know everything is really harder to imagine than we can even grasp our minds around with Trump right at the moment. So I'm trying not to wrap my mind around that and wrap my mind around PDA's intention is to work inside, outside the party. Inside the party, we get those people to single payer. We get them to fight climate. Outside the party, we protest. We work to get good candidates on the ballot. We get those candidates elected whenever we can. And this year, we got to take the House back at least, and maybe the Senate if we can confirm that Mitch McConnell has no sign of life anymore. And we can do something about what's going on in the Senate. It would be great. But in the House, we have a real chance. That is PDA. That's PDA in a 100-degree temperature. Young people, young candidates turning out with each other. And the congressional candidate himself, Manny Rutnell, is only 31 years old. It's just an astonishment to me that all of these things have happened in just a little over 20 years. I know it may not sound like huge accomplishments to you, but look at how big the Progressive Caucus is. Look at how important Bernie Sanders' endorsement is of Democratic candidates. Really, Bernie Sanders, an independent, his endorsement means almost everything to candidates. So don't get discouraged. Let's keep lifting these young people into the light that PDA has helped create for the last 22 years. And finally, this illustration to me is I'm writing about Tim Carpenter and writing about PDA's history, and it's a labor of love, but it's a labor with a lot of people in it, a lot of situations. But we pulled into a store yesterday to pick up one of those online orders and parked in the curbside. And there was a young man walking past us that had a shirt that said, "Abolish ICE." And then on the back was some information about what's going on here in Aurora, Colorado, where we had a tuberculosis case at our ICE detention facility. And GEO will not let anyone from the health department in to check out what happened, what's going on. The person died of tuberculosis. And yet no one can get in to check it. Anyway, this young man walked past our car with the "Abolish ICE" on it. And I said to him, "Cool shirt. I love your shirt." And he turned around and he said to me, "Fuck yes. And I like your bumper sticker, healthcare, not warfare." And I said, "Thank you. You got to find out more about PDA." And folks, this is how we build. This is how we build. It's not always glamorous work. It's not always easy work. Sometimes it's hot. Sometimes we're tired, but we got a push time coming up. Obviously, we got a primaries yet to finish in this country that we got to win. So in any case, when you think about whether or not to give to PDA or give to our candidates, please try if you can. It matters more than you can imagine if we can give them the help that they need to get them across this finish line. PDA itself is transformative. You are transformative. Transform with everything you've got. We need it this year. And thank you, Mike Fox. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Donna. And thanks everyone for being here. To-dos. I'm always the to-do guy, right? Okay, so to-dos. To-do number one, what? Revel in the fact that you're surrounded by people who get it. Each and every Sunday, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, we are here gathering as a community to not only share some good information and most importantly, get to work, but also to make each other feel better. Bottom line. So take just a second, breathe it all in, know that you're surrounded by colleagues and cohorts in this struggle, and together we will turn this ship around. There's no question we can do it. There's no question. But the caveat is it's gonna take a lot of work. No question. And we're going to be talking to two candidates here today who are putting that work in. And we have folks on this call right now who are putting the work in like nobody's business. If you're a phone banker, type in the chat. I'm making calls. Come on board with us. So, using that as a transition moment, time and treasure. All right. Time. Number one. First and foremost, phone bank, phone bank, phone bank, phone bank. We gotta have the phones on fire here, gang. So our goal is 20, count them, 20 new phone bankers today. Phone bankers, help me recruit here. Toss in the chat. I'm a phone banker. Join me. pdamerica.org/volunteers where you make that happen. We have Hartzell's primary this Tuesday and other candidates as well. So we got to have the phones on fire. So goal number one, 20 new phone bankers out of this call, okay? Goal number two, we're going to have two candidates on. Give money. Bottom line, they're in the game working hard. Let's make sure that we are making their time a productive use of their time here, right? I'm going to be tossing the links into the chat here as soon as I get off on how you can help them out. And the other goal that we have for this call is not only helping out Hartzell and Angie while they're with us, likewise, sustaining donations. Doesn't have to be a lot. We got a few people in our database that literally do $100 a month. Bless them for that. I know everybody can't do that. No worries. But what we can all do is show solidarity with each other. $1 a month, $2 a month, $5 a month, whatever you can do. And what does that do? It helps us budget what we are doing over the upcoming month. We know what's coming in already. And perhaps even more importantly, it limits the number of times that Fox has to come at you with, hey, give us money, right? I think you want to shut Fox up on that. Yeah, I'm all about it. So if we can bring in 10 new sustaining donors today, that'd be a beautiful thing. I'll be back at the top of the hour to see where we're at on our goals. Otherwise, back to Alan. Alan, are you in your second location yet?
I am in my 1.95 location because on my way to Sproul Plaza, which is right over there, I crossed Lower Sproul Plaza, where I stumbled into this event. So I'm going to be speaking about 1964, but this is very 2026, an agentic AI summit. And when I'm done with the town hall today, probably at about 2:30, I will probably walk back here and check this out. But they're having lunch, there are the sandwiches, and of course, agentic AI focuses upon the capacity of AI to generate independent agents. That's the word agentic. So I wasn't thinking about 2026 and agentic AI, but you can sort of see the transformation of Berkeley, of course, Northern California culture and the economy so dominated as it is, of course, the home base of Silicon Valley and the largest, most valuable in terms of their public exchange or anticipated public exchange companies in the world. And Berkeley and Stanford, of course, have been the leading institutions feeding Silicon Valley. So here now I'm on Sproul Plaza. And up there is Sproul Hall. I'll mention that.
You mean to have your camera on, Alan?
Yes, I do.
It's not on? It's on. Yeah.
It's not on? It's on, right?
It's on, Alan. You're good.
I'm sorry, my bad. I just didn't see. I'll shut up now.
Okay, in 1963 and 64, the students of the University of California, Berkeley, they had a bunch of demonstrations because you could have their tables out here, but they were not allowed to cross that gate, say their gate. And so that particular gate, the one you can see in front of you, I believe, which is sort of bronze, so it's green colored, that was a demarcation line that sparked a set of demonstrations that it almost seems like it's from another world, though I imagine there are people on this call who remember this. And the beginning of Berkeley as almost a metaphor for student and campus radicalism worldwide was not there definitely were demonstrations related to the civil rights movement in the years leading up to 1963 and 64. And there's no doubt that the desire of students to have tables on the other side of this gate, which the university would not allow. As you can see, there's this huge plaza here, Sproul Plaza, where you could have the tables. And I'm not making light of it. They were not allowed to have free speech, they felt, on this side of the gate. Of course, the iconic figure of this was Mario Savio. And if you watch a movie called Berkeley in the 60s, you get a very dramatic representation of the movement and what it meant to the students at the time. I mean, so of course, I'm bringing this up in a very sort of sad moment because this space right here was a space that defined the right of students in the United States to demonstrate on campuses across the country. Because the students, there was a decision that finally came down from the administration and the Board of Regents, influenced by the governor, Jerry Brown, that supported ultimately the students. And however, this was a tuition-free university at the time. Governor Brown was the great champion in the second half of the 20th century for tuition-free colleges and universities for California residents. And of course, this was considered one of the great universities in the world then, as it still is now. And so the free speech movement, of course, relative to the situation that students, undergraduates and graduate students find themselves in today, both in terms of labor exploitation of the graduate students and just the bilking of undergraduates going into massive student debt loads, it's sort of hard to imagine from our point of view that the students were so upset about their circumstance at the time. But that was the time. And we had a very prosperous country. And this was the most prosperous generation ever growing up in the history of America. And they were appalled that free speech was not allowed to be practiced on their university. So in 1966, Governor Brown, Jerry Brown's father, by the way, Pat Brown, was defeated by Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan ended tuition-free colleges and universities in California. And he ran in 1966 in his campaign very heavily against the students. And so this is a very historic space, very heroic in its launch, and then tinged by quite an amount of tragedy. Now, all across the United States right now, there had been camps set up to support Palestine in particular and other conspicuous college demonstrations on campus after campus after campus. But with Trump coming in as 2.0, they're nowhere to be seen here. And they're pretty much nowhere to be seen at almost every other college and university in the country. Now,
You got muted, Alan.
Maybe he
okay,
had.
yeah,
maybe
I
he
got it. Here we got it. And so I grew up with this this doorway in my life. It was an active part of my life because there was a picture of my father trying to support the students who were going in to the administration building to register their feelings to President Clark Kerr. And my dad was among the faculty members who were supportive of the free speech movement students. And my dad was very political in Northern California at the time. And he was a tenure track professor, but they made him so persona non grata after the spring of 1964 that he left University of California after the spring of 1965 and took a job at Washington University in St. Louis. And there's even dug up his FBI files, his Freedom of Information Act. Why he had to leave Berkeley. So that's my little peroration today, and I thought I'd just bring that up and how times have changed. But this is very historic ground. So Hartzell Gray, are you with us?
Yes, he is.
And of course, folks, look, we at PDA, we support the rights of all students to have their voices heard, for demonstrations to take place, supporting the free speech and the First Amendment. We're generally appalled at the response of university administrations that have taken the bended knee to Donald Trump. This is actually an active thing going on at my alma mater right now, where we're very appalled by the acts of the sitting president. Yeah, we will fight that fight. And we have to make sure when we get the presidency and both houses of Congress as of 2028, that we make American universities and colleges whole again. Hartzell Gray, how you doing?
Oh, my brother, thank you for that incredible intro, by the way. Just, our destinies are intertwined, and just seeing where we were, where we are, and where we're going to go. The reminder is powerful. And I think that in this moment, we need to be reminded of the struggles that we've come through, the blood, the sweat, the tears, and realizing that the work continues. So it's always great to be back, my brother.
So what's up? What's going on in your life these days, Hartzell? What are you up to?
There's a little thing called the primary, of which I am running. So yes, and let me first start off by just saying again, thank you. We're 2 days out. You can see the shirt here. I'm very pleased with everything. And the first org that ever took a chance on me was PDA. I am somebody who, I have name recognition in town, with the media. I was the voice of soccer, organizer, activist, but that don't mean a damn thing. All that means is that I might go viral on Twitter every so often. But you know what? It is working people who have decided that we are a movement. And that movement, my friends, because of you, we are now 2 days out. We've raised nearly $250,000 of small donor donations. $23 is our average. I don't take a dime. I don't take any PAC dollars. I learn from the best, and the best are on this call. So that's the logistics of it. That's the thank you of it. But now, if it's okay, I like to cut a promo if I can, Alan. I'm a
Oh my
wrestling guy.
word.
So in the
Okay.
stylings of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, let me make this pitch, and also let me remind you of the American promise that is ours to reclaim. Because these reactionaries, these fascists, including Mark Alford, who I'm running against, the incumbent, but also Donald Trump, the whole cabinet, right? These folks have put hard times on working people. We are using our clean drinking water to cool off machines and data centers that are taking our jobs away. They're taking our food off of our tables. They're taking our roofs away from us, taking our jobs away. They have put hard times on working people. Reactionaries, private equity, oligarchs, techno-fascists, they put hard times on us. And while we don't look like those in the C-suite, friends, we are more powerful. We are a freight train in the form of a fist. And when they go high, we're not going low. We're going to lower our shoulder. We're going to put them in the dirt respectfully. We're going to get universal health care because it's a human right. We're going to make sure that housing is also a human right. So you're guaranteed a home. It's social housing, off the market, funded in perpetuity. You got a tenant's bill of rights. It is yours. We're going to make sure you got a guaranteed job. And I'm not just talking the inner cities. I'm talking about on the farms, in the suburbs. And you don't have to just be a mechanic. You can be what you want to be, and it's going to be union protected. We're going to tax the rich. And friends, I am proud to have the strongest tax policy, I believe, of any candidate this cycle. We're going to tax the rich, and by taxing the rich, let's get specific. You make $30 million, we're going to do a progressive tax. It's going to tax you at 60%, going all the way up to $1 billion, where you will be taxed at 100%, because billionaires shouldn't exist. And I think we should back up what we preach. And friends, we're going to make sure that we divest from a war machine, a war economy. We are tired of being used as a laboratory for these war hawks to commit ethnic cleansing and genocide on beautiful working people across, not just in Palestine, but in Venezuela, in Cuba, in Sudan, in Congo. The list, unfortunately and tragically, goes on. And we can add also in that list, we can add the United States of America, because we too are under attack and under assault. I am sitting here in the Midtown area of Kansas City, and this new gerrymandered reality. They were coming for Kansas City. It was the black representation on the west side of our state. The 5th district was an R30, no, was a D30, excuse me. Now it's an R35. That's a war on working people. But what they have done is they have overplayed their hand, because the seat we are running in now was Republican 40, and it's now Republican 8-10. Folks, we can work with that. We can win with that. You took a chance on me because you knew that our policy, our platform, our message, our moral clarity, you knew that that was a winning message. And here in a couple days, we're going to show the rest of the world what PDA already knew. What PDA has always known, that the only vehicle for us to make a material difference in our lives and working people's lives is from a progressive experience. And if that means we've got to go through the Democratic Party, that's what we have to do. Because if this is how the game is being played, I want to know the rules. I want to know the characters. I want to know the refs. And I want to win the game. The beautiful game, which is just life and it's liberty and it's our pursuit of happiness. Y'all, we have something in store that's going to be monumental, historic. Missouri and Michigan, all eyes on the M's, all eyes on the heartland. You mean to tell me we're going to send a socialist and a socialist adjacent in a gerrymandering world to Congress? Y'all, it's time. Nobody's saving us but us. We got us. And we're going to tell these folks to expect us. We come with the movement. Deb said we don't come from a movement. We come with a movement. We turn moments into movements. And on Tuesday, the world, the nation will see what a movement looks like in real time, what a winning movement looks like. And then on November 3rd, we change everything. Everything. And it started a year and a half ago on a Sunday town hall with my brothers and sisters and family from Progressive Democrats of America.
Now, Hartzell, between now and Tuesday, what can all these fine folks, undoubtedly amazed at your speech, which was beautiful and absolutely on point, what can we all do to support you over the next 2 days?
Well, if I didn't say donations, then Hanya, our campaign advisor and manager, will just scold me. So I have to say that. But honestly, my friends, at this point in the race, we need your time, your talents, and your treasure. We need phone bankers. If you have folks in Missouri, in Kansas City, if you are here or you've got family or friends, get the word out. Let them know that we've got an election on Tuesday. They have a progressive fighter who they can vote for on Tuesday. When you reach out and you fill in that circle on your ballot, when you touch that screen, you're not just making a decision in a moment. You are making sure that we hold our electeds accountable on what they promised us. We're also reaching out for a better world that we know is possible. And we have fighters who are fighting for that better world that is possible. And we have an incredible step that we can take on Tuesday that's going to get us closer to that better world that's possible. So yes, donations for sure. But mostly right now, we're at get out the votes. Get out the votes. Get out the vote. So, and nobody does it better than PDA and a phone bank. So I need us, we got us, and all I need now is you.
Well, Hartzell Gray, this is so spectacular. And folks, look, this is the first hurdle. It's the primaries. I've been thinking a lot about primaries. They're not really available in a lot of other of the major democracies around the world. In multi-party systems of other countries, party members exclusively in a way that isn't promoted like the primaries are. There's not the kind of public forums that are held because these are public votes that the two parties basically cajole the secretaries of states around the country to oversee. So this kind of structure doesn't exist in these other countries. And this is another layer of democracy. It's, by the way, a layer that a lot of progressive Democrats fought for back in the day. If you go back as recently as, say, RFK, not the junior, but the original guy, winning the California primary. How many primaries were there in 1968? Like 8 or something? And there were a handful of caucuses, and the rest were determined by party leaders. But America developed this other layer of democracy. Yeah, there was all sorts of problems with the way the Democratic Party has evolved. But that particular element, and pretty much anyone can run in the primary. And so we have this opportunity to elect a brilliant, will be young congressperson in the 4th District of Missouri.
And alongside Ro Khanna, another friend and ally, endorsed by Ro means we're getting to work on day one. We're going to file articles of impeachment against Trump, against the cabinet, but also, friends, we've got articles of impeachment to draft against Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. We have work to do, and I promise you, it's going to be a carousel ride of articles of impeachment and accountability and hearings and a bully pulpit that's going to stretch not just in D.C., but all across this country. We're going to reclaim what has always been ours. Last little nugget, and I know I got to get out of here, but I love ending on this because it is in the spirit of my mentor, my brother Harvey J.K. Allen. I know y'all are working on some goodness, and I just want to remind our folks what life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness means. Life is we got a bunch of woke folks. There has been an awakening, but how do we get anything done? We chose liberty. We chose people power, not pack power, not profit power. We chose the power of the people, which means that this government, democracy, it is a mandate. It's not a thought experiment. Pursuit of happiness, that more perfect union, is mandated by our government. And if that more perfect union doesn't involve universal health care, housing, a job, public transit, universal SNAP, universal child care, if that doesn't include that pursuit of happiness, then it's not a pursuit worth taking. But the pursuit that is mandated is one that makes whole the soul of working people. And that we can do when we build this world over again, as Thomas Paine said.
All right, so Gray, man, I am right now thinking of another piece of legislation maybe you and Roe could partner on when you step into the office on January 3rd. How about something like you can't get any federal funds from college or any university or college that suppresses free speech on their campus?
And what about
Because
this? What about this, Alan Minsky, of which, of course, I sign on to that. But what
uh,
about this, huh? Why don't we link public education to the military budget? For
well,
every no, I'm serious. For
we got to
every
try to
dime,
we do have
for
to try to
every
shrink one of
dime,
those folks.
for every dime of surplus that our government wants for a Pentagon budget they can't pass an audit, for every dime they want, I want to make sure we got another dollar and a dime for public education.
I love that. I love that so much. Just make sure it's not from the baseline of the present because we got to shrink that one budget real big.
Well, I think we
So
shrink that budget and it goes straight into infrastructure and public education. And then we make
here,
sure
here.
that going forward, it's linked up. We got ideas, we got plans, and a lot of those things are concepts that we learned right here at Progressive Democrats of America.
Yeah, yeehaw, yes, indeed. And man, everybody listening right now can tell it is going to be a joy, a delight, absolutely entertaining and illuminating to have Hartzell Gray in Congress in January 2027. So let's make it happen, folks. Hartzell Gray, the greatest, man. Thank you so much.
I love you all. I cannot wait to come back next Sunday and do a victory town hall.
We'll have you for sure. Okay, great, man. Talk to you soon.
Appreciate you all.
That's a lot of hearts flowing up that screen, man. And some thumbs up and applause and more hearts. Bring the hearts, folks. Yes, for sure. And Hartzell Gray, please, everybody sign up through PDA, through their campaign. We know how to do it through PDA, which is just contact Mike Fox, sign up to volunteer, and let's put phone calls into Missouri's 4th District and get the vote out for Hartzell Gray to win the primary on Tuesday. Well, so here I am again, walking further up the hill, University of California, Berkeley. A little construction in this part. And Mike Fox is our second guest with us.
Indeed, she has been here. Angie is with us.
Great, fantastic. Would you want to do the honors and introduce her as a fellow Floridian? But
I'd love to.
Please do, and then I will follow up with a question after we hear from the senatorial candidate from the great state of Florida.
Cool. And likewise, my brother. Actually, let's do a tag team here. I'm gonna ask Jim Langford first if he'd like to do the honors. Jim, I'm coming at you. I just came at you with a curveball. I know you got nothing written.
No, I don't. But there's a couple things I can say.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm not a public speaker, and everybody who's around and been around me knows that I'm not especially good. But I do want to say a couple of things. First of all, Angie has become a very good friend over the last several weeks. She is an incredible campaigner, probably the hardest working person I think I have met in the state of Florida. And from the minute she starts speaking, I'm transported home because she's from the area of Florida that my family has been in for a long time. And I've told her before, when she starts talking, she sounds just like my cousins. There's a southern drawl that comes from the Florida Georgia line that doesn't sound like anything else in the world. And if you're from that area and you hear it, it's like a call home. So that's number one. Number two, I want to say that within the last week and a half or so, the Central Florida progressive community came together under the leadership of our wonderful Congressman Maxwell Frost, and the what I call the the progressive trifecta of Central Florida, which includes a fellow representative that served in the House with Angie. Her name is Anna Escamani. Our current Central Florida Senator Carlos Guillermo Smith. And when the two of them join Congressman Maxwell Frost for any kind of announcement, the ground moves. And that announcement, when Congressman Frost announced his endorsement of Angie, was a page turner, and it basically turned the whole thing around. And I was there, and it was like a witness to history. It was exciting. And I will turn it over to Mike if you want to further introduce it. But I will say that the tagline that Maxwell used is that Angie is about the many and not the money. And don't forget that, because she represents every single marginalized and working class community in this state. She stands up for folks, and she has been for at least as long as I've been around, for 6 or 7 years in this movement in Florida. She's been there. And if you need somebody to basically carry the torch, Angie's the one. So thank you for joining us, Angie. I absolutely adore you.
Yes, and I very quickly, Angie, we got to get to you here, but I gotta say, we took great pride. Actually, here's the story. Way back when, Jim Langford calls me up and says, I just saw this kid named Maxwell Frost knock it out of the park. Nobody'd heard of him before, blah, blah, blah. I said, hey, he's the real deal. I said to Jim, yeah, we'll see. After I saw Maxwell, then we became the first national organization in the country to endorse him. I don't know about us being the first national organization to endorse her or not, Angie, but it was much the same story for me with Jim and your campaign. He calls me up and says, you got to see this woman. She is fire. And I've seen nothing but fire since that moment. You inspire me on a daily basis, and I know you've probably got your 2-minute quick pitch. I just want to make sure that we get a little bit of that history on your amazing work in the State House combating DeSantis. So I'll just toss that out there and then hand it over to you to take the wheel. Rock on, Angie.
Yeah, for sure. So, hi to everyone all across the country. Hey, PDA. I love some progressives. I am Florida State Representative Angie Nixon. It is such an honor and a privilege to be with you all today. A little bit about me, right? Like, oh no, people are leaving. Don't leave. I want to talk to y'all. I am a lifelong Floridian, born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. I am a wife, a mother of 5, a union organizer, a community organizer. Ron DeSantis banned books. I opened up a banned bookstore and coffee shop that serves as a third space where we can actually help build power and host workshops like mental health workshops, organizing workshops. We give away free Plan B. We have free tutoring, free mentorship programs, because I believe mutual aid is a form of activism, and we can use that to work to build power, right? And so I have had the honor and privilege to serve as a state lawmaker for the past 6 years here in the state of Florida. And the state of Florida is one of the most toxic work environments and legislative bodies in the country, if not the top. And throughout my time there, though it has been rough, I have been able to get laws and legislation across the finish line, not necessarily in my name, but they would take my bills and put them in their omnibus bills. We were able to expand access to early childhood education in low income and hardworking communities. We were also able to help stop price gouging from happening. But I think what I am known most for is being the biggest pain in Ron DeSantis's ass. When I first came into the state house, Ron DeSantis decided to put forth legislation like the Stop Woke Act because of the massive peaceful protests that happened all across the country due to the brutal execution of George Floyd. And so ever since then, I have been very vocal in pushing back against Ron DeSantis. Back in 2022, he went to remove Black congressional districts. I led a peaceful protest on the House floor, then raising awareness about what was happening. And more recently, he did the same thing. He decided to partisan gerrymander, which was totally unconstitutional and illegal as it relates to our state constitution. And I decided to take out a pink megaphone to make my voices and the voices of Floridians all across the state heard. Because I did this, I was formally reprimanded, and they have not reprimanded any lawmakers in over 20 years, even the ones that were found guilty of sexual harassment and assault of their staffers, even the ones that were found to be fighting on the Florida House floor. They decided to reprimand the progressive Black woman who wants to ensure that voting rights are protected here in our state. And so I decided, though, I was being called to something else, and I decided to run for this seat. I have ran. I talked to folks all across the state before I made this decision, and had conversations with folks, and people are working harder than ever and they're still struggling just to get ahead. And so I decided to run because I believe that government should work for us and not against us. The government is literally working against us. They actually arrested me. Ron DeSantis had me arrested recently because I staged a peaceful protest in his office because we wanted to talk to him about these illegal and unconstitutionally gerrymandered maps. And so we are witnessing a time right now where folks are saying things like they want to return us back to the good old days. They want to make America great again. But y'all know that the good old days were never good enough for all of us. And I am someone who is pushing for things like Medicare for all, to not only overturn Citizens United, but to lower the amount of campaign donations some person could donate in the first place. I want it to be $1,000. I believe that billionaires should have no more influence on our policies and our lawmakers than custodians or teachers, right? I also am fully supportive of, I think I said Medicare for all, but universal child care. I have 5 kids, as I stated earlier, and too many children are starting school behind, and we need to allow these parents to get to work, right? What is very frustrating, though, is that we have people in power who will say that we don't have enough money to do these things. The reality of it is we do, right? We do. They're spending $1 billion on a ballroom none of you will ever get to dance in. They're spending nearly $2 billion a day on a war that we didn't ask for, that is actually helping allow bombs to be dropped on babies, and people are able to, that country specifically is able to have universal health care and good quality schools. And meanwhile, we have seniors who are rationing their prescription drugs and veterans that are living unhoused on the streets. And so I am running for United States Senate because change can't wait. And I am a quote unquote, I was a long shot. However, a recent independent poll came out that stated that I am the strongest Democratic candidate to take on Ashley Moody and who has a chance to actually unseat her. And that is having been outspent 17-1. But if y'all know, like I know, organized people will beat organized money any day. and we are very organized. And so we are knocking on almost every door, making every phone call that we need so that we can actually win this race. And so I'm super excited to be here with you all. And I don't know if folks may have any questions for me.
Well, I certainly do. I'm still here on the UC campus, and I loved what you said about campaign donation limits. I've been playing around in my mind for quite a while. I'm Alan Minsky, Executive Director, Progressive Democrats of America, touring the campus. My dad was on faculty here when I was born, but we moved when I was 6 months old, so I don't have any memories of that. But yes, the idea of the kind of limit you suggest on campaign donations. And I think I've been toying around with something like, to give it a sort of a patina of like science, something on the order of, if you look at the average salary of an average American, and then you look at how much the American public donates to finance to campaigns, something on the order of what the average American can afford, given that spectrum of donations, the percentage of the population that donates, and no one can go higher than that. Something like that. And I actually was coming up with a number lower than $1,000. And then, of course, the rest would be publicly financed. But I certainly agree with that. And I would love to have you in the Senate. So love to have you in the Senate to work with you on that. That is a brilliant idea. And I think long overdue to have that introduced in the Senate. Well, just I was going to say, tell us a little bit about the race. It's the 18th. Obviously, it's statewide. And what are the, early voting, all of that? It's obviously been a bit of a crazy year in Florida.
It is always a wild year in Florida. And so we had vote by mail ballots that have already started going out and they've already been returned. And we start early voting starts tomorrow in several counties, but statewide early voting starts on August 8th and election day is August 18th. And so we are asking similarly to Alan earlier, right? Like, I'm sorry, not Alan. You're Alan. I'm the young gentleman that was on earlier. We need time, talent, and treasure. Our average donation is around $29. So we are a people power grassroots campaign as well. But look, y'all, we feel we have a great chance. As I stated, the recent poll came out, independent poll that showed that we were better suited and more folks would support us over our primary opponent, who is backed by the establishment. He is Chuck Schumer's pick. He has received tons of money from Chuck Schumer and Chuck Schumer's other senators who are a part of the establishment and corporate Dems. And so we are just asking folks to do something differently. Status quo, quiet, timid leadership will not beat Ashley Moody. It doesn't matter how much money is behind them. What we need is a Democratic nominee who is going to excite the base of voters, inspire people to have hope again, and the fact that they should be able to shape what the next 250 years of our nation should look like. Look, I believe that hardworking, everyday people should get to shape what our communities look like and what our economies look like. And right now, what is shaping that are these greedy billionaires and these corrupt corporations and these corrupt politicians that want to just, in essence, make us suffer. And so I'm super excited. We have over 4,000 volunteers across the state that are knocking on doors and making phone calls. And so this election is going to be, in the primary as well as the general, just about getting turnout. And so I am super excited and looking forward to answering any more questions you all may have.
Just quickly, too, I remember I looked this up on Ballotpedia. It is just you and your opponent who's backed by Schumer that are on the ballot, correct?
It is. It's just us two, yes.
Right. And it's closed only to Democratic Party members, or is it?
It is a closed primary, and yes, it's closed to Democratic voters. However, what is very interesting, people try to talk about electability, basically because I am a Black woman, right? But I want to be clear. We have MPAs and Republicans that have changed their party affiliation and they're voting for me in the primary. They also donated on our campaign. They're volunteering on our campaign. And folks often say, oh, well, you can't win statewide because I'm a Black woman. But we've tried what the establishment has put up time and time again. And a Black person has won statewide before. President Barack Obama, who is a community organizer, in which the same I am as well. And not only that, the last time we came super close to winning statewide
Right,
was
right,
when Andrew Gillum ran, and he
right.
is a Black man. And so
Oh.
again, we need to excite the base.
Now, has Vindman ever held office in Florida?
He has not.
There we go. You got experience. You got everything going for you.
Actually, I want to insert one comment. He's never held office anywhere.
There we
He
go.
he
Yeah,
he hasn't.
He
he's just
hasn't
riding
held
on.
office, and he also refuses to debate me. He refuses to show up in meetings in certain communities. He runs a lot, and it's just very unfortunate. If folks are not wanting to show up to talk to voters right now and answer questions, tough questions, what do we think would happen if they were to become the next United States Senator? And so we need someone who's fully accessible, someone folks can trust, and someone who respects Floridians, and that would be me.
Absolutely.
Fox
Hey,
has a
so
question.
go ahead, go for it.
Yo, all right, Angie, I'm sitting over here in St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm not only concerned about that Senate race, but I'm concerned about races all up and down the ballot. And one of the things that excites me the most about you, after the top two things, which are your platform and just your passion and your work ethic, is there is no way, and we're going to talk about Angie, but there is no way that her opponent excites Democrats to get out. Full stop. This woman does. Full stop. So there is no question that the woman on camera right now holds the keys to us having a prayer in November of winning statewide and doing really exceptional things at a state house and state senate level, et cetera, et cetera. Full stop. Okay, sorry, Angie. I'm going to toss in one other name with you. I think you'll appreciate this. The woman on camera hanging out with Maxwell Frost. Those two people right there, as well as the rest of that crew that we saw in Greater Orlando, that crew gets out and whips the state into a frenzy. We got a prayer. We don't have them. We ain't. So, gang, pile on right now. Click that donate link. Click that volunteer link. This is even though she hasn't had as long as a lot of people would have liked to ramp up. It's been a short, compressed campaign. All the more reason why we got to pile on big right now, right now, right now. There is a path to victory here. Let's seize it. It's rare that this opportunity comes along, gang. I'll shut up, Angie.
Thank you. No, you are exactly right. Look, y'all, we can win this thing. We know we can. We're resonating with people. As I stated, we're resonating with not just Democrats, but MPAs and Republicans. I have libertarians that are always commenting on our posts, different ones saying, just make it to the general so I can vote for you. And so we are speaking to the issues. Look, progressive values and issues are what people need, working families need. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican, if you're a libertarian, if you're a conservative, those are what they really want and need. And so I'm super excited to have the opportunity to serve and win this thing.
Yeah, by the way, PDA got very involved in Illinois, where we had a conservative House member, and he was poised to win the open Senate seat. He was way ahead in the polls for the longest time, had a ton of money, was pumping out advertisement for months, presenting himself as an opponent of Trump to draw in Democratic voters in Illinois. And two women who PDA actually didn't endorse either because we were split between them, Robin Kelly and Juliana Stratton, would have wanted to see either of them win. And we're very, very adamant about not just ceding these 6-year Senate seats to conservative Democrats.
Yeah.
And so we bided our time, and then we intervened on behalf of Juliana Stratton when it became clear that she was so far ahead of Kelly in the polls that she had a chance to defeat Raja. I forget Raja's last name right now, but she won. And unfortunately, I had an opportunity to have a meal with her down in LA, where I live, but I wasn't in LA a couple days ago. So, we would love to see you get this nomination and then win this seat. Now, one final question. How much, we hear in the national press, I could ask Mike Fox this, I could ask Jim Langford, but I think your illumination on this will be tremendous. That, one state where Trump's approval ratings remain relatively high is Florida. And this is attributed to his being at Mar-a-Lago or whatever is going on with the Republicans in Florida. I mean, of course, across the rest of the country, this is a year in which a Democrat can win a general statewide election, or is considered to have a better chance than in any recent election cycle. So is that the same? Do you expect there will be that kind of undertow hurting the Republicans across the state? In the general?
So
Yeah.
it's important to know that we've been flipping seats all across the state of Florida. We flipped a Senate seat recently, a few months ago, and we also flipped Mar-a-Lago's district. We flipped that seat blue. It was a Democrat, it was a Republican
Wow.
district where Donald Trump lives, and we actually flipped it blue. And so we know we have what it takes, but that is only if we have a progressive at the top of the ticket right now. We need someone who's going to energize the base. If I don't win the primary, we have no chance in hell to win too much across the state of Florida. But we know that I am the best candidate to help galvanize and energize people. So we just need a little bit more money, y'all, so we can go up some more on digital ads, as well as to send a little bit more mail. But we know we have what it takes. We are a small yet scrappy campaign. One thing they cannot take away from me is that I campaign. I know how to campaign. Look, and I have a proven track record of unseating incumbents. I did it back in 2020. I was outspent 5-1, and I did it while I was pregnant with COVID, 9 months pregnant with COVID. And so I was able to do it then. I'm not pregnant. I don't have COVID right now. So y'all know I am out in these streets working hard.
Hey, well, I'm going to toss back to Jim and Mike for a final word. It's an absolute pleasure and an honor to meet you. And believe me, if you add up the last two things I said, we at PDA over the next, 16 days, we got to get behind this campaign, folks. Let's lift this to victory. Let's lift Angie to victory. And we are going to be so passionate then come, September, October, the very beginning of November, to win a progressive seat in the U.S. Senate.
Yes.
It'll be brilliant to have you there, and thank you for joining us today. But Mike and Jim, final thoughts from you all.
I've yapped enough. Jim, you got anything else for Angie? And if not, then we'll let her put the icing on the cupcake.
Yeah, I got a couple more things, but I noticed that Donna had turned her video on, and I was wondering if she had something she wanted to add.
Yeah, a very brief thing, Angie. Anytime you say mother of 5, I know you can whoop their ass. Believe me, I'm the mother of 6. Politics is nothing. Those boys don't know what's going to hit them. Go for it. I lived in Miami for a while, so I know some of the uphill fight that you have, and you got what it takes, girl. We got to help you do it.
Thank you.
I'm going to add that if you want to experience fire, go to an Angie Nixon campaign event, because she basically brings the fire, and it just is absolutely awesome. She inspires me. I don't think I've met anybody in this particular business that works harder than Angie. A few days ago, she was out in the panhandle of Florida, which we affectionately, or sometimes not so affectionately, call the Redneck Riviera out there. She was campaigning in Santa Rosa County. Had, what I understand from the chair of the Democratic Party in Santa Rosa County, the largest event that they've had yet. And then overnight, she and her crew drove all the way from there down to the Keys through the night, which I think is probably a little bit longer than 900 miles. And she started campaigning in Key West and the Keys the next day. So then she left there and started up the east coast of Florida. And I know she had campaign events along the east coast of Florida all day yesterday with some of the most prominent people in the movement all along the coast. And Angie, I have no idea where you are today, but
I
I
finally
follow.
got home. I'm home for 24 hours.
So I follow you every day, everywhere you go, and I can't tell you how impressed I am, and I can't tell you how impressed our PDA and P4DA crew are here in Florida. We are 100% behind you. You're like a hero for us, and I've told you before that one of my all-time most important people to me is Nina Turner, Senator Nina Turner. And you remind me so much of Nina Turner and the way she campaigns and the way she talks and you are bold and you are brave. I don't know anybody braver than you. You took on DeSantis, you took on the whole damn crew, and you're still standing. And so I know you're the one to take on the Senate. So I'm right there behind you, 100%.
Thank you.
And Angie, just real quick here. I saw Hillary, one of our chapter leaders in Florida, had her hand up. We aren't taking questions from across the country right now because Angie's got to get down to the road to her next gig. But Hillary, if you want to raise your hand again, I definitely want to give you the opportunity to either ask a question, give a shout out. Boom. You should be able to unmute, Hillary. What you got?
Okay, I really just want to say real quickly, first of all, hello, Angie. I was honored to co-host a house party for her here in Palm Beach County a little while back. And one of the things, in addition to her energy, eh, that really impressed me was the way she listened. We had amazing conversations with a room full of about 30 people with some slightly different and nuanced opinions. And I felt heard. And that's major. So I thank you. And I'm so excited. And let's do this.
Thank you, Hillary. Let's go.
All right, Angie. I know you're a busy woman. That's one of the things that we absolutely love about you. You want to put a little bit of icing on the cupcake here, and we'll let you go.
Look, y'all, thank you all so much for having me. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Jim and Hillary and everyone on this call. Y'all, we are literally in a civil rights moment right now, whether or not you want to believe it or not. And so we need to decide what we want our grandkids and great grandkids to say about how we showed up in this moment. And so I know that I want my great grandkids and great grandkids to say that I was not just a passive ally, but that I was a willful accomplice and that I locked arms with people and I didn't allow them to divide us and that I organized harder and stronger. And when they went low, I didn't just go high, I got louder and I pushed back against all these evil and hurtful attacks. Look, y'all, we can win this. We have the opportunity to build a new vision for our country, one where every family has stability, one where every worker has dignity, and one where every young person has the opportunity to reach the true American dream, y'all. We all want the same things. That's to be healthy, to be prosperous, to be safe, to experience rest and joy. And we can get that. But it is going to take us fighting hard. But when we fight, we win. And I look forward to winning with you all come November.
All right, everybody.
Thank
Let's
you.
show the love. Toss, most importantly,
Beautiful.
after the hearts and all that sort of stuff, hit those links in the chat, gang. Let's show Angie we got her back and that we are as productive as she is. You rock, Angie. Alan?
Oh, thank you, Mike, and thank you, Angie. Absolutely brilliant. And yes, we are, of course, coming to the end of what's been a crazy primary season. I spoke about the importance of the primaries within American democracy, a very tattered democracy at the moment. So much pressure put upon the system by money, pressure put upon the system by the contemporary Republican Party that seems to have no use whatsoever for honest democracy at this point. And but this has been a weird one with all these states redistricting, states that were going to have primaries in a few days, halting and then going forward. But now as we're getting to the end of it, Florida is one of the latest ones. So yes, we're going to have a very important primaries in Michigan and Missouri on Tuesday. We have Minnesota, Wisconsin, a couple others on the 11th, as well as a few others on the 4th, Virginia, et cetera. But Florida, I think, is by itself on the 18th. And let's all get behind Angie Nixon for Senate. This is in wrapping my head around so many races across the country and them unfolding in such an uncommon way, even for the spread out primary system that we have across the country for a federal PAC like PDA. I did a little research on this race. I knew Angie was great, but having met her here, folks, let's get behind this. This is a brilliant opportunity. And yeah, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Angie. Thank you all of Florida PDA. So,
Alan, William has his hand raised. I think he may have someone with him.
Well, William is definitely William. Yes, I've been texting with William, and he's up next. William, are you with somebody first? And if you're not, can we have Mike Fox just do his updates, and then we'll come right back to William Walter, who's been in an incredible event with a lot of
Alan,
people.
I'm going to have to roll in here. So if I could be, I'll be a minute and a half tops. So I'm at a fantastic event right now, obviously with the Francesca team. She had a great rally this morning with a good friend of the PDA family, Representative Ilhan Omar, as well as Hassan Piker. And we're really excited to be launching these canvases, get people out there. There were hundreds and hundreds of people who showed up. We're going to go knock thousands and thousands of doors today. I'm jumping to the second canvassing event right now that we're getting ready to launch. We're getting prepared for the 11th because I think we have a really good shot at winning this, particularly with what has happened over the past couple of weeks here in Wisconsin. This is our race to lose at this point in time. And the progressive energy is building to a point where it's almost ready to overflow. I'm so excited to have PDA support in that regard. And we're going to have a special guest sometime either next week or in the coming weeks. We'll keep you posted on that, but we'll be able to hear from the candidate herself.
Or possibly pre-recording in advance of next week, since obviously that's Sunday before the primary. And if we can do that, we can distribute it in advance and play it on this town hall next week. Francesca, I've gotten to know over the course of this race, and she is every bit as incredible in person. I mean, talk about somebody who's on top of public policy for the people of Wisconsin. Like, you cannot believe it, folks. You're going to be a great governor. And William Walter, you're a great organizer. Thank you for that update.
I'll talk to you soon, PDA fam.
Yeah, have a great canvas. And there's William and Mike Fox. The floor is yours again.
Oh, cool. So excellent. I get to do my very favorite job in the week, and that is thank yous. Let's get to, I hope it's been a while since I've refreshed. Good. It didn't knock me out. Act Blue will knock you out if you're dormant for a while. Okay. I want to thank the following people who have donated while we've been yapping. I want to thank Linda and Diane and Jim Langford in the game with us as always, and Dorothy, Ira, Cheryl, Stephen, Maureen, Alan, Peggy, phone banker Peggy, double doing, Donald, David, thank you for your more than kind $100, David, and Quincy, phone banker Mary, double doing, Jill, Marciel, phone banker Marciel, double doing. Phone banker Mary, double doing. Linda, thank you for your sustaining donation. Phone banker Erica, double doing. Phone banker Maggie, double doing. Bob out in Missouri, our state coordinator. And Carol, thank you for your more than kind $100 there. And Martin, Michael, phone banker Michael, phone banker Aaron, phone banker Ron, phone banker Mary Ellen, Martin, Linda, Linda Taylor, our chapter head in Hillsborough County. Thank you, Linda. And phone banker Mary out in Colorado, and Sharon, phone banker Lois, phone banker Michael, Hillary, of course, as always. Thanks, Hillary, for your more than kind $100. Or it might be more than that, actually. And Mary Ann, thank you so much for your sustaining donation. Darwin here in Florida with me, thank you for your $100 donation. Carol and Judith and phone banker Lois again, phone banker Aaron again. Our phone banker's on fire here. Phone banker Mary Ellen and Edward, Mark, Mary Ann, and Jeannie, thank you so much for the largest donation of the day of $250. That is huge. If anybody can match or beat Jeannie, that would be a beautiful thing. I'm sure that she would appreciate the solidarity with her sacrifice. So, as a crew, I'm sure we can match that. Let's make sure that we at least match that $250 that she was so kind to invest. And phone banker Bo and Michael, phone banker Michael, phone banker Ron again, phone banker Mary again, and Bob and Carol and Mary and Eric and Ed and Dr. Sonnenborn, and finally Veronica. Thank you for your more than kind $100. A nice roll we're on there, gang. We have several folks who have donated multiple times. If you have not yet donated, please show solidarity with those who are literally doing it multiple times here to help out our candidates. And let's see where we're at on our goal. I had mentioned at the top of the hour, we wanted to get at least 20 new phone bankers, and it looks like we're about we're every bit of 10 short on new ones. We got quite a few of our regular standard, they're here every single week phone bankers like Carol and Mary and Mary Ellen and the crew. We've got a boatload of people who do multiple shifts per week, and I thank you for that, y'all. However, we can't have folks watching others carry the water and chop the wood. We got to have everybody working as a team here, gang. So please do pile on it. pdamerica.org/volunteer. Give us an hour. And even if it's tonight, as soon as we wrap this call, I'm going to be checking all the signups. If you want to jump on the phone tonight for Hartzell or any of our other candidates who have primaries on Tuesday, sign up. Okay. And that's all I got for now. Alan, back to you.
Thank you. And I actually have something somewhat exciting that I promised. Oh, I'm recording this. Why am I recording this? Okay. We are recording this, right? Good.
Yep.
I picked up the phone earlier today. I was in my car, and it was Ralph Nader, someone I worked with on the project of the Ralph Nader radio show. Well, Ralph and I are the co-creators of the Ralph Nader radio show. And he calls me periodically. These days he calls me not so much about the radio show, though occasionally still, but primarily about PDA. And he's a fan of PDA. As you know, he has a somewhat strained relationship with the Democratic Party. But he does expect the Democratic Party to be the best possible Democratic Party. And he called me up because, I believe it was last week, in coordination with Congressman John Larson and a few other Congress people, they held the second forum that Ralph Nader's team and his network of allies sponsored, delineating why Donald Trump should be impeached. Larson was surprised to discover that he was that the event and what he was sponsoring in the event was objected to by the Democratic leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries. So you can find out more about the Capitol Hill event that was held, that Ralph participated in remotely, calling for impeachment and delineating some of the reasons why. This is the second one of these they've held. And if you actually go to the most recent episode of the Ralph Nader Radio Hour, there are excerpts from the latest of those. And if you go back in time, you can see excerpts from the earlier event on Capitol Hill that was held for impeachment. So Ralph was asking me, hey, what does PDA think about that? And I said, well, I'm very close to John Bonifaz.
Your camera's off, Alan.
Okay. That's probably for the better, Mike.
Okay, cool.
John Bonifaz, really a leading constitutional lawyer who is an advocate for impeachment. Impeachment hasn't been pressed for by Democratic leadership, as they think it's sort of a tricky electoral issue. But there was a time, especially when Donald Trump said that he wanted to wipe out the Iranian people. At that moment, there was a cacophony of support, a cavalcade of support, an overflowing of support for his impeachment, and many, many more congressional Democrats expressed that at that point. And so it was unclear where that sits with the current House caucus members. But as we learned this past week with the Nader event and the Jeffries response to Larson. So I actually want to do a little bit of an informal poll here, Mike, if it's okay. And what do we have on the call right now? We have 175 people here. So what we're going to do is, who thinks that Donald Trump should be impeached? Not only should Donald Trump be impeached, but that Democrats should not be shy about expressing the reasons why Trump should be impeached, and that they should also express that the best defense of the Constitution is to follow the Constitution's one corrective for a rogue president, which is to impeach him. So, okay, please show that you support that position with either a thumbs up.
Do a thumbs up, do a hands up. That'll screw us up.
There they go. Okay. And okay. Keep it coming, keep it coming. And we're going to do this for about 10 more seconds, and then we're going to take a pause, and we're going to ask people who object to the Democrats doing that to have their show. Okay, so let's round this off. Okay, these will be the last wave of this is the last wave of the yeses. So let's pause now. Let's pause, take a breath, take a breath.
And if you have your hand raised, lower your hand.
Right. Everybody take a breath. Now, who here objects to the Democrats highlighting the fact that they feel that Trump should be impeached? Okay. So it seems to be pretty much about 100 to 2 type of thing. Okay. Thank you very much. That's what I will report back to Ralph and John. And we have worked on this subject. We worked on a subject in a way that didn't highlight the immediate call for impeachment with Representative Raskin's office. But leadership has definitely not been in favor of this. But again, as we get through the primaries, what we have on the table is that the Democratic Party needs to articulate that it is the party that supports the Constitution, the rule of law, and that it will, when gaining the majority in the House and the Senate, pass legislation to clarify the illegalities involved. Because as you may know, there are actually, in some cases, there's a lot of things that Trump has done that's illegal. But unlike in the Senate, where Menendez, of course, was found guilty, there are not direct statutes other than the emoluments clause related to the president and the president's corruption. And of course, some of the corruption he's been involved in hasn't been involved with any foreign powers. So we are going to be encouraging, hopefully with both houses held by the Democrats, the Democratic Party, begin passing legislation to really clarify what's illegal when a president does something like what he has done with receiving so many gifts, taking so much money, et cetera, but everything across the board that he's done. And if you go to John Bonifaz's, what's it called? It's not for the people. Well, just type in John Bonifaz impeachment, and on his I apologize for forgetting the name of his website.
Free speech for people.
Free speech, right? Free speech for people. You will see it was about 42 entries as of about a month ago that really were instances where you could call for impeachment, or if you couldn't, it was only because a clear statute didn't exist. And it's legion. And of course, when we do win the presidency and get both houses, we also then, the next president, Democratic president, has to be brave enough to do what needed to be done actually after the Bush-Cheney administration. But really now it's an absolute necessity, not only for our democracy, but since we are, the most influential representative democracy in the world, we really need to make this clear to the whole world. So that was from Ralph Nader. And of course, he says hi to all of you at PDA. And that's it for me now. I have gone all the way up the hill here. There's a lot of new buildings. In the U.S. News and World Report, they separate out the University of California campuses. There's one international study of that when they rank the University of California, they do the whole system as if it's one school, which in some regards it can be considered to be. And in that, it wasn't Oxford, it wasn't Cambridge, it wasn't Harvard, Yale, Stanford, or Princeton. The number one university in the world and college in the world was the University of California in that ranking that came out just a few years ago. So from the University of California campus, I hand off to family time, I suppose. Now, next week, I know we have another great show. And I believe sounds like it's likely we'll have something from Francesca Hong, that who's been endorsed by our 501c4 affiliated in Wisconsin for governor. And I know that I believe we have other candidates that will be
Peggy
appearing as
Flanagan.
well. Oh, right. Peggy. Oh, my word. What a fantastic candidate. Fantastic lieutenant governor of Minnesota. A very good chance of winning to become the next senator from the great state of Minnesota. Very progressive, and will be a brilliant addition to the U.S. Senate. So Mike Fox, Jim Langford, everybody on the call, thank you so much. Thank you, Donna. Of course, thank you, Hartzell. Thank you, Angie Nixon, and William Walter, and Mike Fowler, and everyone else who's behind the scenes from the staff, from these beautiful redwoods here that go right through the center of the University of California campus, still to this day, just along this little riverbed. I sign off, and we'll have another great town hall again next Sunday. Thank you.